Hey guys, this is Stanley, your sales guy. Hey, today we're going to talk about my favorite subject, which is sales. All right, we got a great subject for ourselves today, so let's go ahead and get started. And our subject for today is selling. How to sell over the phone. Man, that's a pretty good question. And what was the question again? Selling. How to sell over the phone. You know, I've been in sales in one form of capacity because my name is Stanley, your sales guy, since the 80s, for a long time. You know, I've sold in person, I've sold over the phone, I've sold door to door, business to business. I have sold, and I'm keeping on selling, baby, because that's what I like to do. Our subject for today is selling, how to sell over the phone. You know, first off, if you're fortunate, if you get an opportunity to sell over the phone, you're either going to have what they call inbound calls, where people are calling you because they happen to see something on the internet, on TV, or out somewhere, and they just saw a number. So they picked up the phone and they had a phone call. And then you got the other side of it where you have outbound phone calls. That means you're going to go call on folks. That's a little bit harder, and sometimes you get a little bit more green because you're doing outbound calls versus inbound calls. Because when people in the inbound calls are calling you, they kind of have an idea of what you're trying to sell. They have an idea of what's interesting to them. And if you can do this thing called close it, you may go ahead and have yourself a closing and a sale. It's just that simple. Now, if you're doing them outbound calls, sometimes you got to do it just haphazardly. But see, most of the time, good companies, and I mean real good companies, have these things called leads. Now, some of these leads can be leads where you actually have people to call on because they may have clicked on something or they had an interest in something, and that makes it easier for you to sell. Now, if you've got some people and you're doing outbound calls, it's a little bit harder because, see, you're actually getting people when they're at their disadvantage. And you have to do a lot of times a lot more calls when you're selling over the phone, especially if you're doing outbound phone calls. And the reason being is because, you know, you're going at it at a time, even in the morning time or the evening time. And if you're lucky, you're able to call people in the evening time after about 5:30. And the reason being is between 5:30 and 9, people have already finished eating or they just got home. They're getting ready to relax a little bit. So they're a little bit easier. Now, if you're selling during the daytime, like life insurance and things like this, people that are more mature and older, I don't like to say old because, yeah, you know, you got to live your life. And older people or more mature people, they're more inclined to be home during the earlier portions of the days. Now, sometimes when you're selling over the phone, what you're doing is you're setting up appointments. Now, that could be setting up a time frame where a salesperson will go actually knock on the door. Or if you're a salesperson like an insurance agent, what you're doing is you're calling people during the early portion of a day, probably set on the 2 days out of the week, you're picking up the phone, you're calling people, and you're setting up appointments, and hopefully you're smart enough that you're going to have more appointments than you can actually get to. And the reason being is because a lot of times people ain't there, and I've been there, and it sucks. But if you got people to go see, it's a lot easier to sell. Now, selling over the phone, like say, for instance, if they're calling you and they're wanting to know about some information, look, guys, you got to remember, have a conversation with them. Be very simple. You know, they'll be like asking a bunch of questions, and if they're asking a bunch of questions, they want to buy something, honey. And all you have to do is just go with the flow. Now, I have worked in some call centers now where people called about issues, which were like tissues, and they wanted somebody to fix it, some satisfaction. But unfortunately, I've seen some salespeople, or should I say customer service agents, they weren't doing their job. They were kind of rude. They were kind of obnoxious, and they kind of pissed off the customers. And I don't know about you, but when I call these numbers and I need some help, I need a representative who's going to represent, baby. I mean, somebody who's going to be real good. Somebody who's going to take care of my issues, which are like tissues. They keep popping up. But see, here's another thing. If you're out there selling over the phone, you can sometimes do this thing called cross-selling. Cross-selling gives you the capability to sell other products that are in your privy. Now, if you are butthole over the phone and you treat the customers rudely and you can't take care of their issue, how you going to cross-sell? It's a good question. And I literally have worked in call centers because I've been in sales in one form of capacity since the 80s, where the people just didn't seem to care. It was like, I couldn't believe these people were on the phone because, I did a lot of training. I got to listen to a lot of salespeople and a lot of customer service agents over the phone. And I got to hear some people say some things that I'm like going, dang, did anybody record this? These people need to get fired. And on the other side of the spectrum, I saw some people that would just blow you away. They were concerned. They were accurate. And you got to have a conversation. Now, there are some companies that want you to hit it, and get it over with. But I see a lot of great companies now are starting to see that, hey, listen, if you can have a conversation with the customer, kind of laugh a little bit, kind of joke a little bit, have some time to talk about a couple of little things that's about them, a little bit of their family, and not go out on no tangent, because some people take you down a rabbit hole and they'll go all day long. So you got to get them back on track. So good training over the phone really comes in handy. Like I said, I've been in sales a long time, baby, and I love talking to customers over the phone. A lot of times customers want you to give them some information and tell you all the facts and everything over the phone, but if you were to give it to them over the phone and you didn't get a chance to go see them in person, you wouldn't get the sell, because see, they're looking at each other, they're thinking about it, dang, that's too much money, I can't afford it, blah, blah, blah. But if you get a person, like I call people all the time and they call me or I call them and I set up an appointment, and the reason why they just want some basic information, say, look, I understand this is really important. What time are you going to be home? Between 1 and 2. I'm not going to be there tomorrow. That's okay. What about Tuesday? What time would be better? Early morning or late afternoon? What would be better for you? And got to give it to them. And then say, oh, okay, Thursday. Well, would 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock be better for you? See, what you're trying to do is you're trying to lock down an appointment. You're trying to lock down this person. And so if somebody comes behind you selling something similar, almost the same identical thing, they say, no, I've already got somebody coming out to see me. I already got somebody taking care of me. And that's a positive way to be locking down a sale, baby, because you got a better chance, especially if it's a high dollar product or a service, to sell it in person or over the phone. Now, not to say you can't sell stuff over the phone, because I've done it all. I've sold insurance, I've sold everything, a lot of things over the phone. But you know what? You got to have enough people calling in for you to be able to have that conversation. You got to have enough leads where you can actually get in touch with people to be able to make any money. Now, if you work for a company and they're giving you some money so you can kind of work your work, and then they give you some commission based on, extra work that you do by closing sales, that's real good. But see, a lot of companies, they do what this calls straight commission, baby. And if they do straight commission, that means you got to sell something, honey. And I've been there and I've done that. And I've seen some people who really suffered, and I've suffered myself because I didn't have enough people to talk to close the sale. Now remember, if these people are calling you because they got leads off of the internet, you got leads on Facebook or YouTube or any of these great platforms or all these different Google, all this stuff, if you've got a platform where people are contacting you, that's real good. Because see, all you got to do is throw the hook out there, reel it in, and be nice. Be cordial. Some will be real hard at first. Well, I want to know, blah, blah. Oh, I understand how you feel. That's a great question. Let me go ahead and give you some features and some benefits so you can make an informed decision. Does that make sense? And they'll go, damn, yeah, that makes real good sense. And then you'll have some people, no, I just want to know what the price is, what the price. Hey, listen, I understand that you want to know what the price is, but if you don't know what the benefits are, it may be too much. And I want to make sure that you know what you're investing in is a good deal for you. Does that make sense? And just keep talking and say, listen, this is what it is. And first off, if you're calling people and you got a list, one thing you want to do is say, hi, is this Mary? And they'll say, hi, is this Mary? Yeah, hi, this is Gary. You're at 1231 East Booker Street, is that right? Oh, yes, that's me. Okay. And by the way, so you recently asked about some questions, or you were interested in possibly knowing about a particular product. And they go, yeah, how did you know? Well, that's just my job. So, and just remember, you want to have a conversation. You want to build them up. You want the customers to feel at ease with you. Because if they're not at ease with you, they'll hang up. I'm busy. Don't bother me. Don't call me. I don't want to talk to you. Okay. But that is a part of selling. My name is Gary Lee Stanley, your sales guy. I told you I'd tell you the good, the bad, the ugly, and the warts and all when it's got to do with selling. And selling over the phone is so much fun, especially if you got a captive audience and you got a product that people are interested in. And if you have a platform to be able to sell it, it's really good. Now, some people are real good at outbound phone calls, and some people are real good at inbound. And some people, they have the capability to switch back and forth. So if you work in a call center where you have that capability, because sometimes people may not be calling in, so it's a good idea to be able to call some leads that are out. Outbound calls, I kind of like having the ebb and flow of the both, because see, if I can do both, at least when there's downtime, I'm able to sell more. And I love it when people call in. And listen, if people got problems and if they've been calling your business, they're frustrated and angry, let them have their little pity party. Let them have their little 5 minutes, 15 minutes of fame. Because see, once they've done spewed all that mess out at you, that garbage that they're all upset about and everything, you can just say, yes, I understand. And people go, well, okay. And let me tell you what I can do for you. Now, make sure you got a scratch piece of paper so when people are talking to you, you can use the information that they quoted to you, reasons why they don't like this, or reasons why they like this, what happened to them, what their expectations are. And by you having a piece of paper and you're writing down the facts, or one of those little boards where you can write down ideas and information, so that way when you're trying to close the sale, you can go back to them and say, Miss Jane, you said that you like the blue. Is that correct? Yes. And as you were talking, you said that your husband would be really interested in this and he would think it would be a good deal. And also, did you want this delivered on Thursday? Because I remember you saying that Thursday was your best day to have something delivered. Or would Friday be better for you? What you've done is you just closed the sale. And what I'm saying is you got to have some of these questions and answers so that way it's like you're smooth. Now, a lot of times people have what they call scripts. If you're selling over the phone and you ain't got a script and you're just going at it like, oh, you're wasting a lot of time. So the key to success in this is to have a script. Now, you ain't got to follow it 100%, but at first it makes sense to, because you don't know what you're doing. But as you get better and better, you'll be able to have what they call selling conversations. That means you can close some sales, baby. Selling over the phone, like I said, it's a lot of fun. You can make a lot of money at it, and you get paid well, baby. But see, sometimes that phone is real heavy, okay? Because I'll tell you what, doing mortgages and calling people over the phone, it's like, dang, man, I've already had 20 people reject me. Dang, man, I ain't had nobody answer the phone. Hello? Oh, somebody's on the phone. Oh, crap. What do I say now? Get back to the script. If you got a script, and I always keep my scripts right where I can see them, so that way they may take me off task, but I go right back to talking and selling over the phone. If you have a script, it's so much easier for you to be able to stay focused and to get the sale. And listen, you got to sell something, baby. So if you ain't asking for the order, you ain't selling. That's the big thing. My name is Gary Lee Stanley, your sales guy. I know there's a lot of things that's to be known about selling over the phone, but one of the key to success is you got to try. You got to practice. You got to work your scripts. You got to practice with other people, talking as though you're having a conversation. Sometimes I just sit in front of the mirror and I'll talk about my product and stuff, and I'll ask some basic questions. And a lot of times I'll record myself because I want to hear what I sound like. I said sounded like. If you sounded like you don't know what you're talking about, customer going, damn, these people suck. I don't want nothing from you. Next. Okay. So do me a favor. My name is Gary Lee Stanley, your sales guy. We just had a great conversation about selling, how to sell over the phone. That's a real good idea. Selling over the phone, it ain't real easy, but it can be really, really lucrative. And if once you learn it, get your mentors to help you. Get those quality people that you can listen to. Because if you listen to good people, they'll take you to great heights. Stay away from those people that are real negative and bad, because they will take you right down. And my name is Gary Lee Stanley. If you're out there selling, you're asking for questions, you're asking good questions, go out there and sell something. But don't forget, when you're selling, don't forget to ask for the order. Selling, how to sell over the phone. It's one day at a time. Keep trying, and you'll get better and better and better. So go out there and sell something. All right.